We've talked this season about pumpkin ales and Oktoberfest. It's starting to turn chilly out there. Let's go with a perfect fall beer today, Baltic Porters.
And for years, we've heard celebrities touting the benefits of their spirits and their wines, but not beer, really, ever. Well, today we're going to taste one made by an A-list actor.
With Taran, Nurin, I'm Glen Macnow. We're at the Roundhouse in Lansdale for an all-new episode of What's Brewing.
What's Brewing is brought to you in part by Monco Maker's Passport. Download your free digital pass and sip your way through Montgomery County. By the Conshohocken Brewing Company, featuring 4 locations and available at beer retailers throughout the tri-state area. And by support from the Pennsylvania Malt and Brewed Beverage Industry Promotion Board and grant funding from the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board.
Hey, welcome to What's Brewing. I'm Glen Macnow, joined by beer writer Taran Nurin. Nice to see you again this season. A pleasure. Taran Nurin does great stuff. Where do people find your stuff?
My website would be a good place to do that, tarannurin.com. A lot of Food Network stuff about beer lately, too, on the website.
There you go. Check all that out. Okay, we're at a great place today, the Roundhouse in Lansdale. We'll talk to you a little bit about later, their beer and their food. And we're doing a style today for our beer trade, which is one that doesn't get as much tread, I guess, as some of the others, which is the Baltic Porter we're trying. This is their last waltz. Love the name comes from.
Oh, the band.
Yeah, the great movie. 9.4% done with a fermented lager yeast. There you go.
That's their one-off, Baltic Porter, the Jager.
Yeah, the Jager. Okay, really good. So for our trade today, I brought you one actually from a place that we were recently, which is well crafted right here in Lansdale, not far. This is their Solent Baltic Porter. Similarly, this is 8.9%, brewed with loads of Munich and specialty hops and Zatz, one of my favorite ones to say. Cold condition, this is what they say, enticing notes of candied molasses, bittersweet chocolate chunks, and roasted marshmallows.
I'm looking for the marshmallow. Okay, there it is. I get that sweetness on the back.
You get it at the end. Really nice beer. What'd you bring me?
I brought you, it's in front of you actually.
Oh, there it is actually.
The Lager Kohler. It's a collab between Von Trapp in Stowe,
brewery.
Vermont.
Yeah.
Have you been up there?
I have not.
Great brewery, classic German styles usually, beautiful resort. A collab with Thin Man Brewing out of Buffalo.
Yeah.
This is a Baltic Porter aged in, I happen to have a bottle of Four Roses barrels for 20 months. Here, we'll stick that there. Nobody's paying me to product place, by the way, just thought it was fun. Yeah, this is a very hefty, Glen, are you ready for this? 12.4% alcohol.
And they put that in a 16-ounce can.
What did I tell you when you said we were doing Baltic Porters today? I said, what are you trying to kill me?
Yeah, make sure you get a ride. Anyway, let's give this, oh man, I mean, it's like, I'm getting drunk smelling this thing.
I am getting definite booze, but like not too much, like not unpleasant booze, just a touch of it.
That one's even a little hefty for me.
Yeah.
Two of the others that I found, and again, there's not a lot of these around. This is Duck Rabbit out of North Carolina. This one's won several gold medals in the World Beer Cup. And this one, now you and I argued about how to pronounce this. I looked on the website, it says Zyweek. You say?
So I went online and listened to like 6 different pronunciations because I don't speak Polish. I came up with Szywiec.
Okay, well, whatever.
Maybe we'll have a contest.
Just try to find it. And thanks to our friend Jim Martin at Lower Merion Beverage Company who had all these. So it's not a particularly popular style. What's the history of this?
So the history is that the porter in general was probably the first beer to be exported internationally, which is cool. So how did they evolve and why are they called Baltic porters specifically? Porter is an English style that sort of evolved from like your English milds, English darks, and they became popular with the porters of the day, like your delivery dudes, your DoorDash drivers, and the guys who worked at the ports. So they began to be exported to Northern Europe, to Russia, but then Napoleon came in and closed off those trade routes.
Yep.
So Polish people in the Baltic states took it upon themselves and started brewing their own Baltic porters, or their own porters, right? The higher alcohol versions that were getting sent there from England. And so hence they became Baltic porters.
Haven't really caught on, maybe gaining some ground in with craft brewing?
I think so. Now, I'm a huge fan of the style, so I will always order one when I see it. And I do feel like I'm seeing them a little more often at breweries, not necessarily on the shelves, but like here, you know, as we talked about the last Waltz and the other brewery here in Lansdale as well.
Well crafted. They do take time to make. They take longer to make because they're lagers, they're not ales, so they take a little longer. But boy, they're really good. And as the weather turns cold,
I think we'll see more of them. And you know what's interesting about this style is that it's a porter, but it's a lager. So do we have a minute to go into that, or
you got 20 seconds to go into
20 seconds. Uh-oh. Okay. So they are porters, but made with a lager yeast. Normally, porters are made with an ale yeast, so they are brewed at colder temperatures, which makes sense for your Baltic states, for northern Poland, etc.
And it really gives them a lot of heft, gives them a lot of taste. All right, time for our photo contest update. Our last one was the biggest container of beer you had, whether it be a bottle or a can or whatever. Here's the winner. We didn't get as many for this as we have all along. Mike, boy, I'm going to try to pronounce your name. Matiq had a couple of big boys here. Sheila B. Young from at Nelly Pub on Twitter said these are from the beer cycling tour she took in Belgium. She said, unfortunately, we drank the big guys, so we don't own it anymore. But nicely done. You both win tickets to go to our year-end party that we're going to do at Ship Bottom Brewing. Congratulations. And what, you brought your own? Wow. All right, you get to come to the party with that one. What is that?
It's Course and Dunk. I don't have a good story for it.
No.
My ex brought it to the relationship and then I guess forgot it when he left. So it's mine now.
You got something out of it. All right, this week, this is going to be a fun one. We want to see a picture of your beer fridge. This is mine. First, this is the inside of mine. It's pretty crowded. A lot of beers you've seen us talk about on the show this year. This is the outside of mine. Story of my beer fridge, Tara. My wife and I bought this fridge used in 1981. It was our primary fridge for a while. It has lived in my basement for the last 25 years.
That's amazing.
We bought it used 42 years ago. It's still chugging along.
You know what they say? I mean, that's kind of proof that the older electronics are made better.
Although I think it adds about $50 a month to my electric bill, but we will see. Coming up, fascinating thing, we're going to talk to a Philadelphia beer historian about the first breweries here in town. He's got a great story, and Tara's got a little bit of involvement with this. That's coming up next. We're at Roundhouse in Lansdale. It's What's Brewing.
When you vacation in Montgomery County, PA, your money worries get a vacation too.
Oh, you gotta get your value.
Feel free to explore the soldiers' huts.
Free?
$4, that's it? Keep the lettuce coming, Diane.
Parking is free!
Hey, it's free!
With so many affordable things in Montgomery County, go ahead. Freak out.
Welcome back to What's Brewing. I'm Glen Macnow with Taran Nurin. We are at Roundhouse, where they serve Round Guys beer. I'm drinking the Tesla 2 Hazy IPA, and you are drinking?
A 10.2 Belgian
Oh man,
quad.
you're going hefty today.
Always.
Now, this guy between us, who just came out of 1750, and we appreciate him doing that, is Rich Wagner. Now, here's the story. If you head to the corner of American and Poplar and Northern Liberties, you will see this historical marker. We'll show it to you right here. It celebrates John Wagner. He was an immigrant from Bavaria. He brought lager yeast to Philadelphia and brewed the colony's first lager beer. We love history, and a guy who knows about it is our guest, Rich Wagner. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
By the way, Rich is the author of this book, Philadelphia Beer, A Heady History of Brewing in the Cradle of Liberty. So tell us, this historical marker, which you are successful in getting, who's John Wagner and why should we care?
Well, John Wagner is no relation to me.
Yes.
But he is an enigma wrapped in a conundrum.
Okay.
It's very myth-oriented. It's based on oral history. Nobody really knows the full story.
But what did he do?
Well, he probably brought a stoneware bottle like this full of yeast. This new kind of yeast that had been developed in Bavaria, lager beer yeast, which was fermenting the beer at a cold temperature throughout the beer column, not just on the surface like the ale yeast had.
Right.
And so this ultimately would revolutionize the brewing industry, but he was the guy that brought the first batch and demonstrated that you could actually brew with it after coming all the way across the ocean with it.
Changed the world here. Changed the new world, anyway.
Well,
And such yet another Philadelphia first, right?
Yes.
So we get to claim the first lager beer brewed in America.
and that was only a mile or so away from the first porter brewed in America.
Yes.
So we're
So what were they drinking before that?
everything. I mean, Philadelphia was the largest seaport in the colonies. They had liquor, wine from all over the world. In my research, the brewers basically were selling small, midland, and big beers. That's what they were called.
Okay.
Strong, small,
Right.
midland, and strong. They were sold by their alcohol content. And so I don't really see styles of beer mentioned too
Okay,
much
just
at
the
that
power.
time. And what we're talking about in the earliest brewery in Philadelphia was 1685.
Wow.
So I think that the notion of styles came much later.
And even today in Europe, they don't really talk about styles like we do. I mean, I think you and I talked about this for a story I wrote once. You know, we like to categorize because we have so many competitions and such, but you know, in Dusseldorf, they just drink their local beer.
That's how the styles originated. The unique soil that grew the barley in this one area, the kind of equipment they were using, it gave rise to a certain kind of beer. And that's the way it was.
So how did lager catch on here? Did it take off?
Well, it's been said that, you know, they built the railroads during the Civil War, and those railroads did more to spread lager beer, or those railroads did more to spread baseball, poison ivy, and lager beer than anything else in the world.
Just for the record, I'll take 2 of 3.
And so Anheuser-Busch has John Wagner, the Philadelphian, to credit, right?
Well, there's people that
Sort of.
say there's people who say the first lager was brewed by Lemp in St. Louis.
Yeah, I've heard
I'm not one of those people. Philadelphia was a major brewing center, and you could literally step off the boat and go right there and start brewing. Go to St. Louis, you got to go up the river.
Yeah.
You're in a
You're in a
Wilderness.
one-horse town. Let's agree. We know that. We know what Philadelphia is versus St. Louis. Come on now. So wait, there's one part of the story that you wrote about, and again, this book, Philadelphia Beer, has got a lot in it. There's a controversy with him and his brother-in-law that ended up in a legal case?
Well, somebody stole his yeast, a sample of his yeast.
How dare they?
Whether it was his brother-in-law or not, but that's how the story was told, and that's what makes this based on oral history. More recently, a very serious researcher who's done a deep dive into the old newspaper accounts actually names a person who came to John Wagner to try to buy the yeast. He refused to sell it to him and was later found on the property stealing yeast. And whether that was his brother-in-law or not, that guy is the guy that spent 2 years at Eastern State Penitentiary for stealing the yeast.
Wow, how about that?
Really?
All right, so you're now working on an effort with Tara to get another historical marker going on. Terry, why don't you start here?
Yes, well, thanks to you and your book, I learned that the first female commercial brewer in the young United States back in colonial times was also here in Philadelphia. So you and I, tell us a little bit about her just for a second. And you and I are working to get an historical marker for her outside her brewery, which would be the Edinburgh Brewery that was on Dock and 2nd Street.
Yes. Her father had a brewery for almost a half a century. And then she inherited the brewery.
He was Henry Badcock, right?
Henry
and
Badcock,
she was Mary
Liesel.
Liesel.
So she inherited the brewery, her sister inherited his malt house, and then she was listed as the owner for another 17 years.
Right.
So this was a very prominent brewery in the city, very well known, and Badcock was a huge player in this thing. I think one of the things that we need to find out for any kind of research on a marker would be the fact that women could own property in Pennsylvania.
You have
And that's
talked about
something
that.
that's different and something that we need to get all the details about to find out what the actual facts are.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing a historical marker for Mary Liesel, who we believe is the first woman to run a brewery in the, what do you say, in the New World, the colonies?
In the colonies, yeah.
There you go. But meanwhile, wander down to American and Poplar and check out the one for John Wagner, because this guy got it done. Rich, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. We're going to be back with more on What's Brewing.
Hey, Ben. Glenn.
Hi, Andrew Colligan, purveyor of fine Conshohocken Brewing Company beer. I find myself in a bit of a quandary, Andrew. I love Conshohocken Brewing Company beer, but which one is my favorite? Ooh, I do love Type A IPA.
Our #1 selling beer for a reason.
Yes, and Hazy Life Coach IPA. Oh, this one is delicious.
Hazy, juicy goodness.
And wonderful, and who wouldn't love that? Who doesn't love Ring the Bell American Lager?
The perfect choice to pair with our Philly sports teams or anytime.
You know what, I think it's Ring the Bell for me, but now the question is, what's the right quantity?
I think I might have something perfect for you. Ring the Bell 12 packs.
Why, you've nailed it. Now available in convenient 12-ounce 12 packs at any beer store near you. This is wonderful. But how will all of this fit on the back of my horse? We're doing that for a reason, and we'll tell you in 1 second.
News at 11.
She's Taran, Nurin, I'm Glen Macnow. We are at Roundhouse drinking Round Guys beer. What do you got there, by the way?
I have a pumpkin.
Yes, you do.
After 2 Baltic Porters.
Yeah, okay.
Pumpkin spice lager.
I have a dark lager, which is great. Not a lot of places make dark lager. And by the way, as you see, they serve great food here, including these sexy fries with hollandaise truffle oil, herbs. I mean, what more do you want?
We
Okay.
can eat these now? Good, I thought that we
That
had
guy
to wait.
playing the horn, that's your brother Justin. And the reason we brought Justin in, other than his great outfit and his great musical talent,
Oh, those were good.
is yes. You see, this is a picture of Justin with, who's he with?
Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer, the actor. Which brings us to something that's going on, which is Kelsey Grammer is now brewing his own beer, which you brought some. We're going to try this. This is Faith American Beer out of the Catskills, opened in 2015. What's his involvement? It says on the website he conceives of recipes. It is sold in New York. It's sold in New Jersey for our listeners. They're looking to get into Pennsylvania. And I guess he's got an appearance coming up locally?
He does. October 11th, he's going to be in Belmar, the South Jersey version of Belmar, because there's also
Okay.
Belmar in North
Right.
Jersey. Yeah, at Dominic's Tavern.
What is this? What is
This
this
is
one?
a double IPA. He also makes a New England IPA, which we have a version of, and an American ale, and then one
Okay.
more that they didn't send.
So in recent years, Tara, we have seen Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson Hawks tequila, and Dan Aykroyd was actually on my radio show
Yeah.
because he makes his own vodka, which comes in a really cool bottle, looks like a skull. Dwayne Wade sells wine, but not so much with beer.
Yeah.
Why is that?
In the in the words of the immortal Greg Cook, founder of Stone Brewing, if I may, because the beer business sucks.
Well, there you go. This is a show about beer. Yes.
No, so you know, if you make whiskey or you make wine, you can age it for a long time. The profit margins are greater, especially because, you know, you do have more longevity on the product. And celebrities just aren't into the like low margins necessarily.
Yeah,
I shouldn't
yeah.
say everybody, but like
I get it.
low margins, your product expires more quickly.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the panache necessarily of wine and spirits. And one other thing I found interesting, you know, I wrote an article about this a couple years ago, so I asked a lot of people, you know, why not beer, right?
Yeah.
And other than what I said before, which I won't repeat, you know, craft beer was built on authenticity, right?
Yep.
That's the basis for its marketing. So you get like a Kim Kardashian or something hawking a beer, you're gonna be like, ew.
No, it's not gonna work. And I also think it's more local. I think it's more local and regional than national, and so that's separate. But there are some celebrities now, other than Kelsey Grammer, who are kind of pushing beer. Who you got?
A couple. Well, my favorite is Logan Plant, son of Robert Plant. Now, to be honest, no longer owns his brewery. He sold it to Heineken, but he did have a brewery in the UK. What we do find a lot is celebrities, especially musicians, partnering with breweries to make beers with and for them.
I saw the Hanson brothers make beer.
Yep.
I thought it was the guys who played hockey in the movie. No, it's the rock band, the Hanson brothers. So they got their own
They
beer.
had a real brewery, at least maybe not a physical location, but you know, a real brewery. I don't think they're putting anything out anymore. That was in Tulsa.
Oh, okay. So we asked our viewers what celebrity should be making beer. Not surprisingly, about 80% of you said the Kelsey brothers, which, yeah, they should actually.
Oh, they should.
A lot of you said Norm from Cheers, I guess related to Kelsey Grammer, but we got a few worth reading, so what do you got?
Yeah, so I like this one. Keith Richards, the real Marlin, sent this in. He says, or she, perhaps it'll hold the key to longevity.
I like that. Brian Cawley said, my pal Ray Didinger, 1, it would be the greatest storytelling session bar in the world. 2, it's in his blood. 3, Delco. It's a great idea, except Ray doesn't drink beer, but other than that, it's good. What else you got?
Michael James Hickey sent in, Jeff Bridges should open a brewery called The Dude Abides.
Ooh.
Oh, love that movie.
I like that.
And Jeff will come in every Friday in his Trait Lebowski character. Although, wouldn't that make more sense as like a White Russian cocktail bar or something?
Yeah, I don't know how you'd make that into a beer, but you can do that. And finally, Dan Mallon said, John Crook should open 93 Phillies Brewing. You never know who'll be behind the bar, wander in, or get kicked out. Plus cool beer names like Wild Thing 4.4 Stout, Mariano Duncan's Mother's Day IPA. Oh, I know that. Dan, you know what? That's so good. You win entry to our year-end party that we're going to have at Ship Bottom. Nicely done. Coming back, we're going to talk to the fine people who run this place and continue to eat their food. We're at Roundhouse with Round Guys Beer in Lansdale on What's Brewing.
I'm Rachel Riley with the Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board, and I'm here with Philadelphia Eagles cornerback Darius Slay and Chair of the Montgomery County Commissioners, Ken Lawrence. And we're here to ask you to donate to the 9th annual Freedom from Hunger Food Drive.
With the rising cost of food, the need is greater than ever.
Funds will be used to help support almost 70 free meal providers throughout the Monco Anti-Hunger Network.
For every dollar, 7 meals can be provided.
To donate, visit valleyforge.org/hunger, and thank you for your generosity.
Welcome back to What's Brewing. We are here at Roundhouse with the beer by Round Guys, joined by Cody Ferdinand, who's the owner here. So, Cody, actually, first let's talk about what I'm drinking. This is the Tangerine Swords. Now, I've had your liquid swords before.
Right.
It's a little different version on it.
Right, so that is our seasonal. We're just going to, our summer seasonal, the Tangerine IPA.
Ooh, come and get it
tasty.
quickly. Yeah. Okay, what about this?
Yeah, I'm drinking a one-off, I'm so fancy, coconut IPA. I gotta tell you, it's really hard to do a coconut beer well, and this is a real coconut, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, so we came in a previous season out to Round Guys, but now it's Roundhouse, so there's a partnership. Cody, explain this partnership.
Yeah, so Round Guys was an existing brewery for the last 10 years. They've been in this space, and they reached out to us to kind of take over their kitchen, and we also, they were in the process of moving their brewery. So what we did is once they moved their brewery, which is just across the street, we built a whole new dining room throughout the restaurant, so we seat about 120 people, 25 people outside on our patio for a full-service restaurant. So we're offering things like sexy fries right here, the best burger in Lansdale, and some lovely entrees that we have here.
So you had a question about the sexy fries.
So tell me about the sauce. I feel like there's a distinctive ingredient that gives it like a unique flavor, but I can't place it.
Yeah, so the sexy fries are something that's put us on the map. So those are hand-cut fries. It's mixed with our house hollandaise, truffle oil,
That's what it is.
some fresh Parmesan, and some fresh-cut herbs, which really like pop with the richness from the sauce.
Yeah.
So they've definitely been a staple on our menus for
All
years.
right, goes well with beer. Goes well, I am told, with this new pale ale, which I haven't tried yet, which I know you're really proud of. There's something that just like real fresh. What's this here?
So that is the Roundhouse Pale Ale. It's a pale ale made from the brewery that we're actually pushing at all of our restaurants right now.
Nice, yeah.
So that's based on a classic American-style California IPA. Super balanced, comes in at 5% alcohol. It's a easy sipper. You know,
Bring back
really
the
lovely.
pale ale, man, and it's called the Butcher, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
The
so that's
Butcher,
kind
yeah.
of like a flagship for you.
Yes.
This point?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So they brought that in mind for the Butcher and Barkeep, which was our original restaurant.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's talk about some events you may have coming up in October. What's on the
So our
calendar?
biggest event right now we have is our Oktoberfest coming up on the 21st of October. It's a Saturday afternoon. It's going to be in our parking lot. Free event for everybody to come in. We're going to have local Philly bands. We're going to have local vendors, a bunch of games, can jam, all kinds of stuff like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be serving our beers and also some cocktails outside, as well as some grilled foods. We'll have a grill out there for everybody, and some kids stuff as well.
Fun.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that I really appreciate that I was able to get here is both the dark lager and the
Baltic Porter.
thank you, the Baltic Porter. Yeah, not a lot
The
of
last
places
waltz.
do that. Yeah, with the
Yes.
dark malt. Give us the thought behind that.
Yeah, classic style. A little bigger in ABV. The 9.4 comes in, so super rich. It's something that's great for the season coming up. Stout and porter season, fall and winter. But it's something that we've kept around for a long time, and it's done really well for us.
I noticed looking at your overall beer list today in preparation for the show, I mean, you are diverse, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was drinking a Belgian quad, we've got Baltic Porters, you just do whatever
You've got
you
a
want.
rye beer.
Yeah, the Rye Eagles Rye. We also have an award-winning Berliner Weiss. It's done really well for us as well. So, we just want to keep them coming. Keep some classic old styles, but also stay relevant with a bunch of new big bursting IPAs and things like that. The brewery's across the street, so we can just kind of think of something that we really like and dial it up.
All right, so people find you, give us the location and the hours.
Yes, so we are 324 West Main Street in Lansdale on Wood Street. We're open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. We do brunch on Saturdays and Sundays.
Terrific. Listen, thank you for having us. We really enjoyed
Yeah,
it. Tara,
it's great to-
thanks
great
for
to
being
be
my co-host
Yes.
today.
Thank you so
Always
much.
nice to see
Anytime.
you.
Cheers.
We'll see all of you next week on What's Brewing.
Go Birds.
There you go.
What's Brewing is brought to you in part by Monco Maker's Passport. Download your free digital pass and sip your way through Montgomery County. By the Conshohocken Brewing Company, featuring 4 locations and available at beer retailers throughout the tri-state area. And by support from the Pennsylvania Malt and Brewed Beverage Industry Promotion Board and grant funding from the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board.